The president will be speaking about his deficit-cutting plan from the Rose Garden this morning, and our next guest will be there. David Walker is the former comptroller general of the U.S. Government Accountability Office. Now he's the CEO and founder of the Comeback America initiative. We persuaded David to take a few minutes out before he jumps on a plane to Washington. He's in Stamford, Connecticut. And, of course, Lakshman Achuthan, my co-host for the hour, is with us as well. David, what do you think of the initial reports? $1.5 trillion in new revenue, most of it, or at least a good chunk of it, coming from a minimum tax on people making $1 million or more.
We clearly need more revenues as compared to historical levels, but how you achieve it matters. And I think we need to take a book out of Ronald Reagan's chapter, and that is we need to broaden the base, lower rates, top marginal tax rates, and eliminate the difference between capital gains and ordinary income. That makes more economic sense, and frankly, it's more politically feasible than what's going to be proposed today.
So this is just a halfway or a quarter-way solution. There is no broadening of the base here, but there is no raising of marginal tax rates. It's just, it effectively seems to be saying to people who have generous tax deductions, you have to give some of them up.
Well, that's right. You have to keep in mind, Eric, that the so-called Bush-Obama tax cuts were supposed to expire as of December 31, 2012. And so to the extent that you end up extending any of those, that's going to make the deficit worse, not better. So we need to see the details this morning. Yes, we need comprehensive tax reform. Yes, people who earn more and have more should pay more. But how you achieve that and when you achieve that matters.
David, good morning. Lakshman here. I wanted to bring in the issue of the business cycle, recessions, into the whole budget debate. And I think most people agree that when the economy is weak, you don't want to do any harm. You don't want to try to hit it to the downside with either higher taxes or other kind of negative shocks. But in these projections, I was always struck by what seems to be a lack of any recession forecast. You know, we have budget projections to go out many, many years, but I rarely see anyone say that there might be a recession over that time frame. And of course, that's really going to hurt revenues and increase expenditures around a recession.
You're correct. We have three optimistic assumptions in the so-called Congressional Budget Office baseline. First, economic growth. I think it's optimistic. Secondly, interest rates. I think they're very optimistic on what we're going to have to pay in interest costs given our current path. And thirdly, health care costs. And I'm pleased to see that the president is going to talk about significant reduction in health care costs, including moving to more means-tested premiums for Medicare's voluntary programs. We need to move away from middle to upper class welfare for a program that is fundamentally unaffordable and unsustainable.
David, if this isn't the right approach, what is feasible? You talked about the president needing something that is politically feasible. There does seem to be a plurality, if you will, of Americans, according to polls, that support higher taxes or more tax revenue, shall we say, from the wealthy. A complete and utter overhaul of the tax code is certainly not something that can be done between now and next year's election.
No, that's true. But you can look at the margins. You can look at, all right, what can be done to be able to look at the differential between capital gains and ordinary income, what can be done to try to reduce but not fundamentally comprehensively reform the tax system. So there are things that can be done. The fact is, if you eliminate the differential between long-term capital gains and ordinary income in conjunction with reducing the top marginal tax rate to a reasonable level, which is what Ronald Reagan did, then not only does it make economic sense, but I think you can get Republican support.
Well, we're going to find out maybe what Ronald Reagan would think now, because Martin Feldstein, his former chief economist, will be with us next hour. David, always great to see you. Thanks very much. Have a safe trip to Washington.